So I want to say something about teaching and the attacks on unions in teaching and some work we're going to do in a minute, because teaching at the moment, 95% of teachers are in a trade union. It's with nursing the most highly unionised work for a number of reasons, for a variety of reasons. But the government wants to break that, and it wants to break that in a number of ways. First of all, by deregulating pay and conditions of service, then by privatising the education system, so we've got loads of different employers, and then added to that, they are busily promoting in schools to teachers a new organisation called EDA, a non-strike insurance company that offers all the services a union can offer without that tiresome activity of collective action or collective bargaining or anything like that. They're busily promoting that in this period of dispute we've got with them. Last week, John Roberts, the chair of this teaching's very own UDN, said that whenever Michael Gove praises us, we lose members. So it's not quite working, this drift, this push for teachers to leave unions and join this insurance company. But Michael Gove, every time we say we will talk to him, every time he invites teacher unions to talk to him about the concerns we've got and issues around our dispute, he says he will talk to us, but on condition that this non-trade union, this non-representative organisation, is in the room as well, as equal partners with trade unions. So there's a real intent on his part to downplay the role of trade unions and to push things in another way, and we are fighting that, and we are fighting that hard. Now, I'm going to finish by talking about the national dispute and then another little success story that we've had recently. The NUT is fighting to defend our members' conditions of service, to defend our members' pay and conditions, and to bring improvements for our workload. We're also fighting to defend the education system from privatisation, and we're also fighting to defend the children that we teach from the curriculum, from a return to the two-tier education system that we saw in the 1950s that Michael Gove is so fond of. So last week we announced 3 parts to that campaign. We launched a major public campaign to stand up for education, where we're asking our members to take to the streets and the local communities to promote our campaign to defend education and to highlight what Michael Gove, the wrecking mission that Michael Gove is on. The wrecking mission that makes Michael Gove today the most unpopular Tory cabinet minister. A YouGov survey just came out today. So we want your help with that. We want the People's Assembly help with that. We want other trade unions to help us with that public campaigning. We're also taking part in a major work in key marginal parliamentary constituencies to put pressure on MPs, because we know particularly the Liberal Democrats feel very vulnerable at the moment and are losing support of public sector workers and are trying to win it back, so we want to put pressure on them in the key marginal constituencies. And then as part of that, we have announced on Friday that we will be calling a national one-day strike on Wednesday, March the 26th. And again, we're calling all our members. There'll be major demonstrations around the country. We want to really turn up the heat on Michael Gove through that campaign and through that strike action. It may not seem very much, but this will be the 4th time on which we've called on our members, NUT members, to take strike action since this government was elected. Not very much, 4 one-day strikes that we've called, but it's more than the NUT has ever called in our history of over 130 years, more than any time. So for us, it's a very significant call, a very important call, and a very, very necessary call. I'm sure you'll agree. Now, I want to finish on something small, but I think significant, because as Carolyn said, we need victories, don't we? We need to be able to celebrate successes for trade unions. And I just want to talk to you about something that was very significant for us, although on a very small scale. A free school in Islington, one of Michael's free schools that can appoint unqualified teachers, that can appoint teachers outside of national terms and conditions. We've got 9 members working in this free school. Their chair of governors is Tony Sewell, who's a big friend of Boris Johnson. After they were appointed to work in this free school, they were forced to sign contracts, essentially 0-hours contracts, saying that the school could lay them off at short notice. 3 weeks sick leave, a maximum of 3 weeks sick leave, and 6 months maternity pay. A clause that said you cannot go to or take part in any event that the school thinks is not fitting of its ethos. So basically don't go to any rallies like this or trade unions. These members very nervously contacted our Islington NUT branch to see what we could do about it. We've met with them since Christmas. We've talked to them about trying to get in. Every time we try to get into the school said, we don't recognise trade unions, you've got no role here, we'll talk to our staff. So we got our members to the stage where we balloted them for strike action. 8 of them voted to take strike action, 1 didn't vote. So from a free school not recognising unions, we'd prepared members to take strike action. The day before we were due to take strike action, we received this letter. No, the day we issued the strike action notice, we received this letter from the school. We don't recognise you, and this will be our decision whether you take industrial action or not. We hope this clarifies our position, that any action you take is misconceived and futile. We will meet with staff individually to reiterate the points we raise above. We won't have any further correspondence with you, save for receiving notices from you in line with your statutory obligations. The day before we were due to take strike action, we got this email from the head. Just to confirm that we're willing to recognise the NUT and we will make a commitment to enter into meaningful negotiations about the terms and conditions of your members' contract, and we will recognise local and national representatives for these purposes. We will sign a formal recognition agreement. Things went slightly pear-shaped after that, and we did have to take 2 days of strike action because they started to play a few games. But yesterday, they signed a formal recognition agreement with the NUT and agreed to talk about the teachers' contract, which they said they were perfectly at liberty to issue. Now that's 9 members in a small school in Islington, but for us it's quite significant because it was the first dispute that we had in a free school. So the stakes were quite high. If we'd lost it, it would have been a message there that we couldn't defend members in schools like these free market schools. Because we've won it, we think it's very significant now for members in these privatised schools that Michael Gover is setting up, that where we're organised, where members are determined, the unions are still fighting, we are still winning, we're still determined to push the road back to find a new road to union recognition, proper trade union rights. We're still here, we're still fighting. The NUT is proud to be part of the People's Assembly, proud to work with Hands Off Our Unions. Together we can win and we can create a better society and a better world for trade union members. Thank you very much.